Children, yesterday I have left a lifespan, that is time period between birth to natural death. It is not necessary that every organism must die naturally, only sometimes death may occur due to accidental death. Now let us see lifespan of some of the organisms. Here I wrote some of the organisms and their lifespan. Like mayfly is having a lifespan of only 1 day, that is 24 hours. In 24 hours itself, it will take birth, grow, reproduce and die. That is in 24 hours itself, it will complete its life cycle. Butterfly, it will survive for 1 to 2 weeks. Generally, all the butterflies will survive for 1 to 2 weeks, but some of the butterflies like monarch butterfly can survive for 30 days. 30 days. Cow, 15 to 22 years. Dog, 12 to 30 years. Crow, 7 to 8 years. Parrot, generally 10 to 30 years, and some of the breeds like Amazon parrot will survive for 60 years and macaque will survive for 80 years. Horse will survive for 40 years. Tortoise 150 to 200, even some of the breeds can survive 350 years also. Elephant can survive 60 to 90 years. Like this, every organism, every plant and animal has got a different life span. A giant sequoia, it survived for thousands of years, that you have already learned. Now let me go for the asexual reproduction in animals. Sexual reproduction in animals. Animals reproduce asexually by different methods. First, let me go to the simple one, that is binary fission. Fission, simply it means splitting up, breaking down. So first let me go to the binary fission. Fission simply means splitting up, breaking down. So binary fission, in the binary fission, the animals, the organisms will simply grow and split up into two. That is, organisms grow and divide into two daughter cells. Into two daughter cells. That is the binary fission. The example, the common example what we can take are the protozoa, and in that let me take the amoeba as an example. We are all familiar with the amoeba. Amoeba is not having a definite shape. So amoeba, it grows to its maximum. Amoeba, it grows to its maximum and then divides it into two. So let me draw the second step also. Amoeba, it fades and grows to its maximum size, and then it divides into two daughter cells. It divides into two daughter cells. So these daughter cells again they grow and they divide into two daughter cells. Like this in protozoa, a single celled organism through binary fission simply go on dividing. So here the progenies, so it is the parental cell, and these are the daughter cells. Daughter amoeba, or you can say daughter cells. So here the daughters or the progenies which are produced are the clones. They are exactly same as that of the parent. So they are called as clone. The organisms which reproduce by binary fission are immortal. The organisms which reproduce through binary fission are immortal. That is, they do not have the death at all. Now we can see the parent amoeba, simply it will grow and divide into two. The parental material got distributed among the daughter cells. And again these daughter cells in course of time, during their life period, they will eat, grow and divide into two daughter cells. Again like this it continues. Then from where do the parental material will die? Where the parental material will go? So this parental material is going to continue, or it is continue to survive in the daughter cells. That is why the organisms which reproduce through binary fission are considered as immortal. So next, see, in some of the organisms, depending upon the plane of cytoplasm. See here the first I told you that nuclear division will take place first. The nuclear division is called as karyokinesis and the cytoplasmic division is called as cytokinesis. So here in the binary fission, especially in the eukaryotic cells, karyokinesis occurs first. Depending upon the plane of cytokinesis, the binary fission can be called by three different names depending upon the plane of cytokinesis. Depending upon the plane of cytokinesis, the binary fission may be irregular, or it is also called as simple binary fission. Simple binary fission as it takes place in amoeba. And then longitudinal binary fission, that longitudinally from the anterior end to the posterior end, it is longitudinal binary fission, and this occurs in euglena. You are all familiar with the euglena. So euglena, the plane of flagella will be there. So the plane of division is longitudinal. So it is called longitudinal binary fission. And in the paramecium, transverse binary fission is seen. In the paramecium, transverse binary fission is seen. So in the paramecium is also called as sleeper animalcule. So here the plane of cell division is transverse. Like this the cell will divide. So in the binary fission you will see. So the third type is transverse binary fission, which takes place in the paramecium. Here the plane of cytoplasmic division is transverse. So it is called transverse binary fission. So that is about the binary fission. So next one is the multiple fission. Let me rub and write. Hope you got the binary fission. What do you mean by binary fission? It is dividing the parental body into two daughter cells, where the parent will feed, grow to its maximum, and then first the nuclear material will get divided, and then the cytoplasm will divide. Depending upon the plane of cytoplasmic division, we can classify them into three types, that is irregular, longitudinal and transverse. And I told you that the unicellular organism which will reproduce through binary fission are immortal, because the progenies are going to survive in the parental body. So they do not have the natural death. So they are considered as immortal. Now second one is the multiple fission. Multiple fission. The name itself indicates multiple, many. So here from the parental body many daughter cells are formed. That is, parent forms many daughter cells. It forms many daughter cells. Example is amoeba, and we can even give the example of plasmodium, which we'll read little in later chapter. So here what will happen? So amoeba here. So the nucleus will get divided into many small pieces and which are surrounded by a little cytoplasm. It will get surrounded by little cytoplasm. And when this cell will get ruptured, when the cell membrane will get ruptured, many small amoebae will come out. Many small amoebae will come out from the parental body. These are called amoebulae, or these are also called pseudopodiospores. Such a kind of fission is called multiple fission. What do you mean by multiple fission? Here the parental body will form many daughter cells, and as it forms many daughter cells, it is called as multiple fission. Now next let me go to the sporulation. Sporulation is nothing but spore formation. Spore formation. So spores are formed sometimes in some of the organisms, like in fungi, it forms a part of life cycle. And in some spores are formed under unfavorable conditions, and these spores are usually formed on the sporangiophore. Spores are formed on the sporangiophore. Let me just give the example and then say Rhizopus. Rhizopus. You can give any fungi. So here what will happen? The horizontal hyphae is called stolon. It is called stolon, and the root-like structures are called rhizoid. And here the longitudinal structures will develop. A vertical hyphae will develop, which is called sporangiophore. Sporangiophore. And on this sporangiophore, the tip of the hyphae will become bulged and it will form the sporangium. This is called the sporangium. And here the spores are formed. The center part is called columella. On this the spores are formed. When the sporangium will mature, the spores will come out. They will get disposed by the rupturing of the sporangial wall. These spores, when they fall on the suitable substratum, they grow hyphae. So thus the sporulation is seen in some of the fungi. Now let me go to the next, that is zoospore. Zoospore formation. So zoospores are the flagellated and motile spores. These are flagellated and motile spores, which are seen in some of the organisms, some of the algae, like Chlamydomonas. Let me give the example of Chlamydomonas and Ulothrix. Zoospores. Here the spores are small and they are biflagellated, and they are seen usually in the algae like Chlamydomonas and Ulothrix. They are motile. When they fall on the substratum, then they will grow into a new individual. That is about the zoospore. Now I told multiple fission, sporulation and zoospore. Let me go to the next mode of asexual reproduction in the animals. So these will be asked for 1 mark, like what are zoospores? What do you mean by multiple fission? What do you mean by zoospore? They are the flagellated motile spores which are seen in certain algae like Chlamydomonas and Ulothrix. Now next one is, so fifth one. Now we have to discuss the fifth one, which are called conidia. Conidia are the asexual reproductive structures which are seen in the penicillium. Example is Penicillium, a fungi. So here conidia, they will form, so let me just, you know that fungi, they have a hyphal structure, they are made up of hyphae, and on the tip of the penicillium, you'll see a chain-like circular structure, and these are called as conidia. These are called conidia. These conidia, when they fall to the substratum, then it will grow into a new penicillium. So individual conidia can be called as conidiospore. Now next, let me go to the budding. Budding is a method of reproduction in some of the lower organisms. Here a small multicellular structure is formed on the body of the organism. That is a small multicellular structure, or you can say on the body a small protuberance is formed. On the body a multicellular structure, multicellular body is formed which is going to form into a baby animal. Baby animal. So budding is commonly seen in Hydra and yeast. So Hydra, you are familiar with the Hydra. It is having a cylindrical body and hypostome, osculum is there, tentacles are there. So on this side it is of course a diploblastic animal. On this side a small multicellular structure will develop, and this bud will grow into an animal, that is it will grow to a little bigger size. During its initial period, it depends upon the parents for its survival. When it grows its maximum, it will get detached from the parental body, fall to the ground, and then grow as an independent hydra. So this kind is called budding, and we can see even budding in the yeast. You know that yeast is the only fungi which is unicellular. So yeast, it will form a small bulged structure on one side of the body, and the nucleus will get divided into two, and then this bud slowly grows in size. This bud, when it initially, in all budding processes, initially the baby bud, it depends, or you can say a small multicellular structure which we call as a baby animal, it depends upon the parent for its survival. When these cells grow to its maximum, it may get detached from the parental body and survive independently, or sometimes in the yeast it is going to form a multicellular chain-like structure. So it will remain attached with the parental body. So that is the budding. So here the buds are formed on the parental body. So these buds are called as exogenous buds. These buds are called as exogenous bud. So the next method of development is the gemule formation, or you can say gemule. So gemules are the specialized endogenous buds which are seen in certain sponges. So these are the endogenous buds. These are endogenous buds, endogenous buds seen in certain sponges, that is spongilla, a fresh water sponge. So gemule, it is formed inside the body of the sponge. That is why it is called endogenous in origin, or it is also called as endogenous bud. Let me just go through the structure of gemule. So gemule is having a spherical structure which is covered by a gelatinous substance and is having a small opening which is called as micropyle. And here in the center we will see many cells. These are the embryonic cells which are called as archaeocytes. So let me draw nucleus also. And in this gelatinous cover, usually this jelly-like coating or gelatinous coat will protect the gemule from desiccation, from drying up. So it has got the spicules. You already have studied the phyla. The spicules may be monoexon, may be diaxon or triaxon. The main function of this spicule is protection. The main function of this spicule is protection, and the cells which are present inside are called archaeocytes. They are called archaeocytes. So these usually will grow inside the body of the sponge. When they come out of the sponge body, this gemule will grow into a new sponge. Thus the new sponge will develop through the gemule. Now next is the fragmentation. Fragmentation. Fragmentation is nothing but breaking up of organism into pieces. Fragmentation means breaking up of organisms into pieces. So sometimes accidentally, if the organism will get broken down into pieces, each organism has got the capacity of developing into a new individual. That is, it will regain the lost parts of its body. So that is called fragmentation. Some scientists will say that it is a kind of regeneration. So fragmentation, here we can give the example of Spirogyra, and we can give the example of Platyhelminthes. Planaria, we can give the example. We are familiar with the Spirogyra, which is having a ribbon-shaped body, which is having a flat ribbon-like structure, and in this we have got a ribbon-like chloroplast. So when these filamentous structure will get broken down into two pieces, each fragment has got a capacity of developing into a new filamentous structure. Like that only the planaria if it will get broken down into two or three pieces, all these three pieces will develop into a new individual. Thus, fragmentation is also considered as a asexual mode of reproduction. So, till now we have discussed about the asexual reproduction in animals. We have discussed about the binary fission, multiple fission, and we have discussed about the sporulation and zoospore, conidia, budding, gemule and the fragmentation. So these are all will be asked for 1 mark in the annual exam. So here gemule is somehow very important because it is an endogenous bud which is formed inside the body of the sponge. Usually it is formed under unfavorable conditions. When the gemule is going to happen to grow, so this micropyle will become inverted and then the archaeocytes will form a body of the sponge. So let me go to the next, that is the asexual reproduction in plants. Now let me continue with the asexual reproduction in plants. Asexual reproduction in plants is called as vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is nothing but asexual reproduction in the plants. So, asexual reproduction in the plants will take place by the vegetative parts of the plant body. The vegetative part of the plant body which is going to help for the reproduction is called vegetative propagule. Vegetative propagule. So vegetative propagules are the somatic parts, or we can say vegetative parts of the plant body, or simply we can write part of a plant body, part of a plant body which help in vegetative propagation is called vegetative propagule. So what do you mean by vegetative propagation? Asexual reproduction in the plants, and vegetative propagation occurs by the parts of the plant body, and the parts of the plant body which will help in vegetative propagation are called as vegetative propagules. In the plants, the vegetative propagules may be stem, or it may be root, or it may be leaf, or it may be sometimes the inflorescences. Now let me go one by one. First let me go through the stem. The vegetative propagation through the stem. So depending upon the structure, the vegetative propagules are called by different names. First let me take the rhizome. Rhizome, the example what we can give is the ginger, we can give turmeric, and even we can give banana. So rhizome, the stem is thick and it will grow underground. It will grow prostrate. Below the soil it will grow. All of you have seen ginger in the home. So ginger, it is a branched structure. So let me draw only one branch. So here you will see like this structures. They are the nodes. You have studied the parts of a plant body in the first year. So these are called the nodes, and on the nodes you will see a scaly leaf. You will see scaly leaf, and here you will see the adventitious buds. So these adventitious buds will give rise to the aerial shoot system and the root system. Thus rhizome will help in the vegetative propagation. Now let me go to the next one, which is called as tuber. Example is the potato. Tuber is a vegetative propagule where the stem will become a small bulb-like structure, round structure, and you have seen potato in the home. Potato is having many scars on it. These scars are nothing but nodes. These scars are nothing but nodes, and commonly they are called as eyes. These scars are called node, and what you see a spot-like structure which is called as eye. It is an axillary bud. So these are the eyes. So these buds will give rise to a yellow colored structure. Usually we will see such structures in the winter. So under favorable conditions, these eyes will give rise to a aerial shoot system, and from the below root system will develop. Thus tubers will help in vegetative propagation. Now next let me go to the next one, bulb. Example, onion, garlic. So here the stem will become a small disc-like structure, and you have seen the structure of onion. So scaly leaves are compactly arranged, and when the this clyde stem will get suitable substratum, suitable conditions or soil. If it gets, this part will give rise to a shoot system. So thus the bulb will help in vegetative propagation. Now next let me go to the next one, that is runner. Example is lawn, grass, or we can say cynodon or grass. So here the stem will grow along the ground. Along the ground, from the nodal region, the shoot system will appear. Fine. And root system is also there. So it will, this is the soil surface. The stem, when it will grow along the soil surface, it will be having as usual the nodes and the internodal structures it is having. So this nodal structure, when it will come in contact with the suitable soil surface, here a small stem will develop and root system, that is here again one more plant will develop. So by mistake or by chance, if this plant will get cut it into two, or if it will get detached from the main body, this plant will develop into an independent plant. Thus the runner forms a vegetative propagule. So next is the offset. Example is Eichhornia. So runner is on the soil. Offset, it is a vegetative propagule which is seen in the water media. So Eichhornia, it is also called as terror of Bengal, which you are going to read in ecosystem. In coming topic you are going to read. So here the internodal region is very small. It is very small, and in the nodal region a small stem will develop, and it will develop into a shoot and a root system. So let me draw, and here the roots are feathery. It is an aquatic adaptation. So here Eichhornia, it is called terror of Bengal. It is exotic plant. It is non-native plant. It is imported to our country because of its beautiful flowers. So beautiful flowers, it is imported to our country. It is called terror because within a short span of time it will cover the whole aquatic ecosystem at the cost of the flora and fauna which are present in the aquatic ecosystem. So that is about the offset. So here at the nodal region. So at the nodal region a small stem will develop, and which will develop into a shoot and the root system, that is a plant will develop. That is about the offset. Now next is the stolon. Stolon, the example what we give is the strawberry. So stolon, here also stem will grow along with the soil surface. So strawberry root. So here the stem will grow like a bow. It will grow little bit above the soil, and then when the nodal region touches the soil, at the nodal region a small stem, and that is the root and shoot system will develop. So that is about the stolon. So till now we have studied about the stolon. Now next is the corm, colocasia. Example is the colocasia. You know that corm, it is a stout, hard, tuber-like structure, and here the small axillary buds are present on the stem, and these axillary buds under favorable condition is going to give rise to a plant. Thus corm is also a vegetative propagule. So let me just revise. Vegetative propagation which will occur through the stem are rhizome, tuber, bulb, runner, offset, stolon, and the corm. So rhizome, here the stem is thick, fleshy because of the storage of the food. So here it will grow under the soil in the prostrate manner. At the nodal region you see scaly layers and the adventitious buds, and these adventitious buds under favorable condition they are going to give the root and the shoot system. And tuber like structure, a potato. On the tuber you will see the scars, and those scars are nothing but nodes, and in the node you will see a small eye-like marking, and those eyes are called the buds. They are the adventitious buds which will give rise to shoot system. And next is the bulb, a small disc-like stem which you see in the onion, which has also got the capacity of developing into a shoot system. And then runner, example is the lawn grass. Here the node and the stem will grow along with the soil surface, that is on the soil surface. When the nodal region touches the soil, when it gets a suitable substratum, suitable soil conditions, then it will give rise to a shoot and the root system. Offset we will see in the aquatic plants like Eichhornia, and here the stem is very small, that is the internodal region is very small. At the nodal region a small stem will develop which will give rise to a shoot and the root system. And I told you Eichhornia is also called as terror of Bengal, and stolon is seen in the strawberry. Here the stem will grow like a bow shape. The nodes will touch to the soil surface, and there it will give shoot and the root system. And corm, it is a stout, or you can say hard tuber-like structure which will grow inside the soil, and there you will see the buds, and these buds will develop into a shoot and the root system. Now next one is the sucker. Sucker you will see in some of the examples like mint and chrysanthemum. So here the stem, it will grow below the soil. At the nodal region you will see the shoot system and the root system. Below, the internodal region is present just below the soil, and from the nodal region, from the below the soil, the shoot system will develop. That is the sucker. So these are all the vegetative propagules, and they are the modified stem structures. So this will be asked for 1 marks in the annual exam, like name the vegetative propagule of a certain plant, or sometimes they may give the plant and they may ask the vegetative propagule of a certain plant, or they may give the vegetative propagule and ask you to name the plant. Now let me go to the next one, that is vegetative propagation through the root. So today let me continue with the vegetative propagation through the root. So today you have studied sexual reproduction in the plants, and you have studied the vegetative propagules and the examples. So tomorrow let us see the reproduction by root system.